Bikers steal a vet's cane, but one phone call ends their laughter. In the quiet town of Millfield, the Rising Sun Diner stood as a beacon of comfort and familiarity. Every morning, locals gathered to enjoy their coffee and exchange stories, their laughter and chatter filling the air. Among them sat Arthur "Art" Jennings, a respected war veteran known for his gentle demeanor and unwavering integrity. Art's cane, a constant companion marked by the scars of his service, rested against his table as he savored his morning coffee. To the untrained eye, it was just a simple walking aid, but to those who knew Art's story, it was a symbol of survival, resilience, and the sacrifices he had made for his country. Outside the diner, the roar of motorcycles shattered the peaceful atmosphere. The Black Vultures, a gang of reckless bikers led by the notorious Rex Dalton, pulled into the parking lot, their laughter and shouts drawing concerned glances from the diner's patrons. Rex, a towering figure with a menacing presence, strutted into the diner, his eyes scanning the room for any sign of weakness. As his gaze fell upon Art's cane, a cruel smirk spread across his face. Without hesitation, he snatched the cane from its resting place, holding it aloft like a trophy. "Look at this, boys!" Rex sneered, his voice dripping with mockery. The old cripple left his stick unattended. "Finders keepers, right?" The Black Vultures erupted in laughter, their voices drowning out the shocked gasps of the other diners. They tossed the cane between them, treating it like a plaything, oblivious to the disrespect they were showing to a man who had given so much for his country. But Art Jennings remained calm, his eyes fixed on the scene unfolding before him. He knew that true strength lay not in physical prowess, but in the wisdom and experience gained through a lifetime of service. With a steady hand, he reached for his phone, ready to make a call that would change everything. The laughter of the Black Vultures echoed through the diner as they continued to mock Art and his cane. The other patrons watched in disbelief, their faces etched with a mix of fear and disgust. No one dared to intervene, knowing the reputation of Rex Dalton and his gang. Art, however, remained composed. He had faced far greater challenges in his life, and this moment of disrespect was but a mere ripple in the ocean of his experiences. With a quiet determination, he dialed a number on his phone, his fingers steady and sure. Miles away, in a nondescript office, a phone rang. The voice on the other end belonged to Colonel James "Jim" Thompson, Art's longtime friend and fellow veteran. Jim had served under Art's command during their military days, and the bond they shared was unbreakable. "Art? What's going on?" Jim asked, his tone laced with concern. "Jim, I need your help," Art replied, his voice calm and measured. "There's a situation at the Rising Sun Diner. A gang of bikers is causing trouble, and they've taken my cane." Jim's breath caught in his throat. He knew the significance of Art's cane and the disrespect that had been shown. Without hesitation, he assured Art that help was on the way. As the call ended, Jim sprang into action. He contacted several of Art's former subordinates, men who had once looked up to him as a leader and a mentor. He also reached out to the local law enforcement, knowing that their presence would be crucial in resolving the situation peacefully. Back at the diner, Rex and his gang remained oblivious to the gathering storm. They continued to laugh and jeer, basking in their perceived power. But Art knew that their laughter would soon be silenced. He had set in motion a chain of events that would not only teach the Black Vultures a lesson in respect but also remind them of the true meaning of strength and honor. The stage was set for a confrontation that would change the lives of everyone involved, a clash between the reckless arrogance of youth and the quiet wisdom of experience. As the minutes ticked by, the tension in the diner grew palpable. The Black Vultures, still reveling in their perceived victory, remained oblivious to the gathering storm outside. Art sat quietly, his eyes fixed on the entrance, waiting for the moment when his allies would arrive. The other patrons, sensing the shift in the atmosphere, began to whisper among themselves. Some wondered if they should leave, fearing the impending confrontation, while others remained rooted in their seats, curiosity and a desire for justice keeping them in place. Suddenly, the roar of engines filled the air once more, but this time, it was not the sound of the Black Vultures' motorcycles. A convoy of vehicles, including police cruisers and unmarked cars, pulled into the diner's parking lot, their presence commanding immediate attention. Rex Dalton, his bravado faltering for a moment, glanced out the window. His eyes widened as he saw the imposing figures emerging from the vehicles, their stances radiating authority and purpose. Among them, he recognized the faces of men who had once served under Art's command, their loyalty to their former leader unwavering. As the group entered the diner, a hush fell over the room. The Black Vultures, suddenly realizing the gravity of their mistake, began to shift uneasily in their seats. Rex, however, refused to back down, his pride and ego overriding any sense of reason. "What's this all about?" Rex demanded, his voice laced with false bravado. "We were just having a bit of fun with the old man's cane. No need to make a big deal out of it." Colonel Jim Thompson stepped forward, his eyes locked on Rex. "Son, you have no idea what you've done. That old man is a hero, and his cane is a symbol of the sacrifices he's made for this country. Your disrespect ends now." The stage was set for a reckoning, a moment where the arrogance of youth would be met with the unwavering strength of those who understood the true meaning of honor and respect. As Colonel Jim Thompson's words hung in the air, the atmosphere in the diner shifted. The Black Vultures, once so brazen and confident, now found themselves surrounded by a wall of unflinching resolve. The men who had entered the diner, veterans and law enforcement alike, stood shoulder to shoulder, their presence a testament to the power of loyalty and shared experience. Art Jennings, still seated at his table, watched the scene unfold with a mixture of pride and sadness. He had hoped that his years of service and sacrifice would have taught the younger generation the value of respect, but it seemed that some lessons needed to be learned the hard way. Rex Dalton, his bravado rapidly crumbling, looked around the room, searching for any sign of support from his gang. But the Black Vultures, faced with the consequences of their actions, had begun to distance themselves from their leader, their eyes downcast and their stances uncertain. Jim Thompson, his voice steady and commanding, addressed Rex directly. "You have two choices here, son. You can either return Art's cane and apologize for your behavior, or you can face the consequences of your disrespect. The choice is yours, but choose wisely." For a moment, Rex hesitated, his pride warring with the growing realization of his mistake. He glanced at Art, seeing not just an old man, but a figure of quiet strength and dignity. In that instant, something shifted within him, a flicker of understanding that would forge the path to his redemption. With a curt nod, Rex stepped forward, the cane held out in a gesture of surrender. "I'm sorry," he said, his voice barely above a whisper. "I didn't know." Art, his eyes filled with compassion, reached out and took the cane. "Respect is earned, not given," he said, his words carrying the weight of a lifetime of experience. "Remember that, and let this be a turning point in your life." As the Black Vultures filed out of the diner, the tension in the air dissipated, replaced by a sense of hope and the promise of change. The first act of the story had come to a close, but the journey of transformation was only just beginning. In the days that followed the confrontation at the Rising Sun Diner, the town of Millfield buzzed with talk of the incident. The story of how Art Jennings, the unassuming war veteran, had stood up to the notorious Black Vultures spread like wildfire, igniting a spark of inspiration in the hearts of the community. For Art, the events of that fateful morning served as a reminder of the power of unity and the importance of standing up for what was right. He knew that his actions, and the actions of those who had come to his aid, had set in motion a ripple effect that would touch the lives of many. As he went about his daily routine, Art began to notice subtle changes in the town. People smiled more readily, their greetings warmer and more sincere. Neighbors who had once been distant now stopped to chat, their conversations filled with a newfound sense of camaraderie. Even the Black Vultures, the once feared gang, seemed to have been affected by the incident. Rex Dalton, humbled by his experience, had taken Art's words to heart. He began to question the path he had chosen, realizing that true strength lay not in intimidation, but in the ability to admit one's mistakes and strive for redemption. Unbeknownst to Art, his act of defiance had also caught the attention of the local media. Journalists and reporters flocked to Millfield, eager to uncover the story behind the war veteran who had stood up to a gang of bikers. Art, ever humble, shied away from the spotlight, but his actions had already begun to inspire others far beyond the borders of their small town. As the days turned into weeks, the people of Millfield found themselves drawn together by a common purpose. They began to organize events and initiatives, determined to build upon the foundation of unity that Art had laid. The seeds of change had been planted, and with each passing day, they grew stronger, promising a future filled with hope and transformation. As the spirit of unity continued to grow in Millfield, Art Jennings found himself at the center of a new project that would come to symbolize the town's transformation. A group of residents, inspired by Art's story, proposed the creation of a community garden, a space where people from all walks of life could come together to cultivate not only plants but also relationships. Art, touched by the idea, readily offered his support. He saw in the garden a reflection of his own journey, a testament to the power of nurturing and growth. With the help of volunteers from across the town, the vacant lot behind the Rising Sun Diner was soon transformed into a lush oasis, filled with vibrant flowers, lush vegetables, and the laughter of children. Among the volunteers was Rex Dalton, the former leader of the Black Vultures. In the weeks since the incident at the diner, Rex had undergone a profound change. He had sought out Art, apologizing for his actions and expressing a desire to make amends. Art, seeing the sincerity in the young man's eyes, had taken him under his wing, offering guidance and a chance at redemption. As the garden flourished, so too did the bonds between the people of Millfield. Families gathered on weekends to tend to the plants, sharing stories and laughter over freshly harvested produce. Children learned the value of hard work and cooperation, their small hands eagerly planting seeds that would one day bear fruit. Art watched with pride as the community came together, united by a common purpose. He knew that the garden was more than just a patch of earth, it was a symbol of the transformation that had taken place within the hearts of the people. With each passing day, the garden grew stronger, a living testament to the power of unity and the resilience of the human spirit. The story of Millfield and its community garden soon spread beyond the town's borders, inspiring others to follow in their footsteps. The seeds of change, once planted in the quiet town, had begun to take root, promising a future filled with hope and the power of collective action. As the community garden blossomed, so too did the friendships and connections forged within its green embrace. Art Jennings, now a beloved figure in Millfield, found himself at the heart of this growing network of support and camaraderie. One warm summer evening, as the sun dipped below the horizon, Art found himself sitting on a bench in the garden, his cane resting by his side. Lost in thought, he barely noticed the approach of a young woman, her eyes filled with a mixture of curiosity and admiration. "Excuse me, Mr. Jennings," she said softly, her voice breaking the tranquil silence. "I'm Sarah Thompson. Colonel Jim Thompson's daughter." Art's face lit up with recognition, a smile spreading across his weathered features. "Sarah! It's been years since I last saw you. Please, call me Art. What brings you to Millfield?" Sarah sat down beside him, her gaze wandering over the lush garden. "I heard about what happened at the diner, and how you've been bringing the community together. My father always spoke so highly of you, and I wanted to see for myself the impact you've had on this town." As the two began to talk, sharing stories of the past and hopes for the future, a bond began to form between them. Sarah, a budding journalist, found herself drawn to the tale of Millfield's transformation, sensing that it was a story that needed to be told. With Art's blessing, Sarah began to document the town's journey, interviewing residents and capturing the spirit of unity that had taken root. Her articles, filled with heart and insight, soon caught the attention of national media outlets, shining a spotlight on the small town that had become a beacon of hope. As the story of Millfield spread, inspiring others to follow in their footsteps, Art knew that the seeds of change he had helped to plant would continue to grow, nurtured by the love and dedication of the community he called home. As the summer months passed, the community garden in Millfield continued to thrive, becoming a symbol of the town's unity and resilience. Art Jennings, now a mentor to many, found himself spending more and more time among the lush greenery, sharing his wisdom and experience with those who sought his guidance. Among his most dedicated pupils was Rex Dalton, the former leader of the Black Vultures. Under Art's tutelage, Rex had begun to transform, shedding the anger and resentment that had once consumed him. He found solace in the garden, his hands now more accustomed to the feel of soil and seedlings than the cold grip of motorcycle handlebars. One afternoon, as Art and Rex worked side by side, tending to a bed of vibrant tomato plants, a familiar figure approached the garden gate. It was Jim Thompson, Art's old friend and comrade in arms. With a smile on his face, Jim made his way towards the two men, his eyes taking in the beauty of the flourishing garden. "Art, you've really outdone yourself here," Jim said, clasping his friend's hand in a firm shake. "I always knew you had a green thumb, but this is something special." Art chuckled, his eyes crinkling at the corners. "It's not just me, Jim. This garden, it belongs to all of us. It's a testament to what we can achieve when we come together." As the three men stood together, sharing stories and laughter, Sarah Thompson watched from a distance, her camera capturing the moment. She knew that this image, of a war veteran, a reformed biker, and a lifelong friend, embodied the very essence of Millfield's transformation. With each passing day, as the garden continued to grow and the bonds between the people of Millfield deepened, Sarah knew that she was witnessing something extraordinary. She couldn't wait to share this story with the world, to inspire others to find the courage and compassion to create their own gardens of hope. As the story of Millfield's transformation continued to spread, the town found itself in the national spotlight. Media outlets from across the country descended upon the small community, eager to capture the essence of the change that had taken place. Art Jennings, now the face of Millfield's revival, found himself at the center of this media frenzy. Reporters clamored for interviews, eager to hear from the man who had inspired a town to come together. Though the attention was overwhelming at times, Art knew that the story of Millfield was one that needed to be told. Among the journalists who had made their way to Millfield was David Harris, a seasoned reporter from a prominent national newspaper. David, known for his hard-hitting investigative pieces, had initially been skeptical of the town's transformation. But as he spent time in the community, speaking with its residents and witnessing the impact of the garden firsthand, his perspective began to shift. One evening, as David sat with Art in the garden, the two men found themselves engaged in a deep conversation about the power of community and the importance of second chances. Art, his voice filled with wisdom and compassion, spoke of the transformative power of forgiveness and the potential for growth that existed within every individual. David, moved by Art's words, knew that he had stumbled upon a story that had the power to inspire and uplift. He decided to write not just about the garden and the town's transformation, but about the man who had set it all in motion, Art Jennings. As David's article began to circulate, the impact of Art's actions and the power of Millfield's story reached new heights. People from all walks of life, touched by the tale of a small town's triumph over adversity, began to reach out, offering support and sharing their own stories of hope and redemption. In the midst of this outpouring of support, Art knew that the journey was far from over. The garden, now a thriving hub of activity and growth, served as a reminder that change was an ongoing process, one that required dedication, compassion, and an unwavering belief in the goodness of others. With each new seed planted and each new connection forged, Art and the people of Millfield continued to nurture the spirit of unity that had taken root in their town. They knew that, together, they had the power to create a future filled with hope, healing, and the promise of a better tomorrow. As the summer drew to a close, Millfield found itself on the cusp of a new chapter. The community garden, now a beloved fixture in the town, had become a symbol of the transformation that had taken place, a living testament to the power of unity and compassion. Art Jennings, his heart full of pride and gratitude, knew that the time had come to pass the torch to the next generation. He had seen the potential in the young people of Millfield, the spark of leadership and the desire to make a difference that burned within them. Among these emerging leaders was Rex Dalton, the former biker who had found redemption in the garden's embrace. Under Art's guidance, Rex had grown into a man of character and conviction, his past transgressions now a distant memory. One crisp autumn morning, as the leaves began to turn and the garden prepared for its winter slumber, Art gathered the community together for a special announcement. Standing before the crowd, his cane in hand and his voice filled with emotion, he spoke of the journey they had undertaken together and the bright future that lay ahead. "My friends," Art began, his eyes sweeping over the faces of those who had become his family, "I stand before you today not as a leader, but as a member of this incredible community. Together, we have shown the world what can be achieved when we open our hearts and stand united in the face of adversity." He paused, his gaze settling on Rex, who stood tall and proud among the gathered crowd. "And now, it is time for me to step back and watch as a new generation takes up the mantle of leadership. I have no doubt that, under the guidance of people like Rex and Sarah, this community will continue to thrive and grow." As Art's words washed over the crowd, a sense of hope and determination filled the air. They knew that the journey ahead would not be easy, but with the strength of their community and the lessons they had learned, they were ready to face whatever challenges lay ahead. As the first snowflakes of winter began to fall, blanketing Millfield in a gentle white, the town found itself in a season of reflection and renewal. The community garden, now a tapestry of frost-kissed leaves and slumbering soil, stood as a reminder of the growth and transformation that had taken place. Art Jennings, his role as a mentor and guide now passed on to the next generation, found himself spending more time in quiet contemplation. He would often sit by the garden's edge, his cane resting by his side, watching as the town went about its daily life, a newfound sense of purpose and unity evident in every interaction. It was on one such morning, as the sun's pale rays danced across the snow-covered landscape, that Art received an unexpected visitor. Sarah Thompson, her cheeks flushed from the cold, made her way towards him, a determined glint in her eye. "Art," she said, her voice filled with excitement, "I have an idea. A way to share the story of Millfield with the world, to inspire others to create their own gardens of hope." Intrigued, Art listened as Sarah unveiled her plan, a book, a collection of stories and photographs that would capture the essence of Millfield's transformation. She spoke of the impact it could have, the lives it could touch, and the ripple effect it could create. Art, his heart swelling with pride, knew that Sarah's vision was the next step in their journey. With a smile, he pledged his support, knowing that the story of Millfield was one that deserved to be told. As the two set to work, gathering stories and memories from the town's residents, a sense of excitement began to build. Each tale, each photograph, was a piece of the tapestry that made up Millfield's remarkable journey. And as the book began to take shape, Art knew that the seeds of hope they had planted in their small town were ready to be carried on the wind, spreading the message of unity and transformation to communities far and wide. As winter gave way to spring, the community garden in Millfield burst forth with new life, a riot of color and growth that mirrored the renewed spirit of the town. Art Jennings, his heart full of gratitude, watched as the next generation of leaders took up the mantle of stewardship, their hands nurturing the soil and their hearts committed to the continued growth of their community. Among them, Rex Dalton had emerged as a true leader, his past now a source of strength and wisdom rather than shame. He worked tirelessly alongside his fellow gardeners, his eyes always searching for new ways to bring people together and foster the spirit of unity that had become the heartbeat of Millfield. As the town continued to thrive, the impact of their story began to spread far beyond its borders. Sarah Thompson's book, a beautiful and poignant testament to the power of community, found its way into the hands of readers across the country, inspiring a wave of change and renewal in towns and cities alike. Letters and emails poured in from far and wide, each one a heartfelt testament to the impact that Millfield's story had had on their lives. People spoke of their own journeys of transformation, of the gardens they had planted and the communities they had nurtured, all inspired by the examples set by Art and the people of Millfield. And as Art sat in the garden, surrounded by the fruits of their labor and the love of his community, he knew that the legacy they had created would endure long after he was gone. The seeds of hope and unity that had been planted in the heart of Millfield had taken root, and their impact would be felt for generations to come. With a contented smile, Art closed his eyes, letting the warmth of the sun and the gentle hum of the garden wash over him. He knew that, no matter what challenges lay ahead, the spirit of Millfield would continue to thrive, a beacon of hope and a testament to the power of community. As the years passed, Millfield continued to flourish, its community garden a vibrant hub of activity and connection. The town had become a model of resilience and unity, a shining example of what could be achieved when people came together in the spirit of compassion and understanding. Art Jennings, now in his twilight years, remained a beloved figure in the community, his wisdom and guidance sought by young and old alike. Though his steps had grown slower and his hair had turned silver, his heart remained as full of love and hope as ever. One warm summer evening, as the sun dipped below the horizon and the fireflies began their nightly dance, the people of Millfield gathered in the garden for a special celebration. It was a tribute to Art, a recognition of all that he had done for the town and the lives he had touched. As he stood before the assembled crowd, his cane in one hand and Sarah's book in the other, Art felt a swell of emotion that threatened to overwhelm him. He looked out at the faces of those who had become his family, the people who had stood by his side through every trial and triumph. "My friends," he began, his voice trembling with age and emotion, "I stand before you tonight not as a hero, but as a man who has been blessed beyond measure. You, the people of Millfield, have given me the greatest gift of all, the gift of community, of love, and of hope." As the crowd erupted in applause, Art felt a hand on his shoulder. He turned to see Rex, now a leader in his own right, standing beside him, a look of gratitude and respect etched upon his face. "Thank you, Art," Rex said, his voice thick with emotion. "For everything." And as the celebration continued late into the night, the laughter and joy of the community filling the air, Art knew that his legacy would live on, carried forward by the hearts and hands of those he had touched. Years turned into decades, and the story of Millfield's transformation became the stuff of legend. The community garden, now a cherished landmark, stood as a testament to the power of unity and the enduring spirit of those who had brought it to life. Though Art Jennings had long since passed, his presence could still be felt in every corner of the town. His memory lived on in the stories told by the elders, in the laughter of the children who played among the garden's vibrant blooms, and in the hearts of all those who had been touched by his wisdom and compassion. Sarah Thompson's book, now a beloved classic, continued to inspire new generations of readers, its pages dog-eared and worn from countless readings. The tale of Millfield's triumph over adversity, of the power of forgiveness and the strength of community, had become a beacon of hope for countless souls seeking to create change in their own lives and communities. And though the world around them continued to change and evolve, the spirit of Millfield remained a constant, a reminder of the timeless values that had brought them together and the unbreakable bonds that had been forged in the face of adversity. As the sun rose over the garden each morning, casting its golden light across the dew-kissed leaves and the well-worn paths, the people of Millfield began their days with a renewed sense of purpose and gratitude. They knew that they were part of something greater than themselves, a living legacy of hope and resilience that would endure long after they were gone. And so, with each passing year, the story of Millfield continued to grow, a testament to the power of the human spirit and the transformative impact of a single act of kindness. The seeds that had been planted in the heart of their small town had blossomed into a garden of hope, a living reminder that, even in the darkest of times, the light of compassion and unity could never be extinguished. In the end, the story of Millfield was not just a tale of one town's triumph, but a reflection of the indomitable spirit that resides within us all, waiting to be awakened by the power of love and the strength of community.